Hello to everyone. Thank you very much for inviting the EB today. So I would not be too long in presenting our organization because I think Stephane did the job already. So first, I don't know if you were struck as I am each time we have a conference on circular economy. It looks like everybody agrees. I mean, we are all super happy with circular economy. And then we go back to our daily work and we say, well, in fact, in my daily attitude, if I want to, sometimes I cannot. Or if I would like my business to be more circular, I realize how many constraints I have. So I think at the end of the day, without pretending that we should all agree circular economy, the same thing, we should all be struck at least by this. When we talk circular economy, everybody agrees. When it comes to take concrete action, concrete measure, despite all the good experience we have, then it is more and more difficult. Let me give you a few examples here at the European level. Well, we are convinced circular economy is so good. I mean, it's part of our priority agenda for economic development in Europe. And as it's been proven several times, okay, it can work. But then what happened? Well, UK want to escape Europe, so suddenly we freeze everything. We freeze every initiative regarding the circular economy because UK may leave Europe. So that means that do we really consider seriously that the fact that there is a Brexit context should stop Europe from working? I'm not sure about this. But I've got evidence that concrete action that were listed as priority by the Commission are not taken anymore on behalf of, please do not add fuel on fire in the Brexit debate. And those are on some key aspect regarding the single market. I mean, product policy. Everybody hears, even the business attitude. I like the fact that product design is a problem. Product design needs to be addressed at European level because it's a single market. We've got from the Joint Research Center a lot of evidence that they are developing tools and instruments that could work. But what happened? The two first actions of the Circular Economy Action Plan, namely the work plan of the Eco-Design Directive, okay, and an iconic example on our TVs, are now stored in the Commission corridors, I don't know where. We do not know why, and when we ask them, they say, well, this is Brexit. So I'm sorry to be a bit long on this introduction, but I think we need to be realistic. We all agree when it comes to talking, and then when it comes to walking, then that starts to be difficult. So what do we need? I mean, I think it's been highlighted here by the previous speaker, so in a way it's an easy job for me. I can just list what has been said, okay? They say we need a bit of regulation to create the legal certainty, to create the legal drivers. They say we need to get some legal incentive, some economic incentive. I mean, if at the end of the day, I'm sorry, putting disposable plastics on the market is still cheaper than putting reusable plastic as by Brambles. I'm sorry, Brambles can do the job, but at the end of the day, let's be realistic. It won't work. So we need to make sure that we align the economic instrument, the economic incentive with our political will. And this has been said. Third, I've heard Internet of Things. You can speak about Internet of Things. This is wonderful. But if you do not get the information, Internet will be useless. And I can tell you at the moment, when we ask in the context of the revision of the energy label, we simply ask manufacturers, can you please give us the minimum information regarding your product performance, things that can be placed in a database, and then through all this digital economy, we can mine this database, extract data, present them the best way to the consumer. What's the reaction? Wow, it's going to be overburden for us, administrative burden for us. So we prefer the Trade Secrets Directive, which is moving super quickly, That means that at the end of the day, we know regulatory instrument, economic incentive, information. And when I look at what the European Commission suggests, I'm sorry, on regulatory push, they say, well, it's better regulation agenda. Maybe we should use other ways than regulation. Okay, fair enough. Then what is the other way? Economic incentive, I'm sorry. Have you noticed anything in the Circular Economy Action Plan regarding economic incentive? No, and it's not me saying it. It's the industry asking for what they call pool measure. You know, it's not yet done. And then, with regard to information, well, we've got something with, we should help developing something that has started in 2015, the product environmental footprinting. We've got the RIA Pro project presented by the GSE. But I'm sorry, it's not super clear in the action plan that this information should be done. Then, two new ideas have been identified, particularly by Ms. Pietikainen. She said indicators, monitoring. What do we have? At the very end of the action plan, you've got something on, we should develop a monitoring system for circular economy. But I'm sorry, I've heard the first speaker and what he presented to me. They've got something on circular economy indicators, okay? They got things, I mean, as trivial as taking the best out of the Eurostat data we've got. We already got something. And I find it that we should develop in the long term something which is so useful and where the European Parliament, as some member states now call for kind of headline target for circular economy, that will be the kind of systemic target we need about resource productivity. And unfortunately, it's not done. Last point, financing. Financing the circular economy. I mean, this is a key point for investment. It will be a new way of investing. Well, I see the European Central Bank saying that we now need to reduce as much as possible the interest rate. So I'm sorry, I don't want to play the bad guy, but do you know what it means? That means that private banks can now borrow money for zero cost, and then they come to you and say, well, you can have more credit if you want, because now it's a lower cost for you as well. But I'm sorry, did they present the fact that this cost will be even lower if it's for circular economy initiative? For new business? No, nothing. So at the end of the day, that is my fundamental problem. We all agree, we all know we need to go there, but when it comes to take action, at least at European level, I'm sorry to say that there is a frustration. And this frustration needs to be corrected through the European Parliament, through the Council of Member States, but also through the economic actors that need to say, okay, if circular economy is about reconciliating economy and the environment, because at the end of the day, this is what has been asked for ages. When people say, oh, can you please integrate the externalities in the price of your product? This is a jargonic way of saying, can you reconcile the economy and the environment and the human health? This is all the same. Okay? So I think the day the economic actors will knock on the doors, and when I speak about the economic actors, I speak Brambles. I'm sorry, I do not speak Total. Okay? Yes, that's the point. That's the point. I speak Brambles. I do not speak Plastic Europe. Yeah, because Plastic Europe, they knock on the door, and now they release documents saying, well, you know, if you go for too much recycling on plastic, that's going to be difficult for us. Let's burn 50% of the plastic we put on the market. And they do not even mention reusable plastic, you know. Nowhere I can see the fact that they speak about the inner circle for plastic. Okay? So at the end of the day, we've got to be realistic. Good that we all agree on talks, but we need now to activate the things. And I think I would like to insist on something that has been said, and then I hope we have time for the debate to really enter into the details. It is about going from a business model to an economic model. And going through from a business model to an economic model, I mean, I like it. For example, I quote not exactly, from Brambles. He said, we preserve material in a way, or it affects our profitability. Basically, what they mean, sorry if I misinterpret, is that each time they have to waste material, or that waste is lost because something happened or is broken, this is a loss for them. And we need to think that at an economic level. What if suddenly the economy will be, any economic actors will say, well, when I waste material, I affect my profitability. When I put something that generates waste, I affect my profitability. And I hope we can really, really go in the debate around this, because for me, being regulation, being indicators, being greenwashing, being scaling up this, we can think from what if suddenly we say, when I make something bad with regard material and resource conservation, it affects my profitability. And if it's not done through the market dynamic, we need to accompany this market dynamic and create the fact that when you waste material, when you waste resource, you have to pay. When you waste human health, you have to pay. And as long as we cannot have this at economic-wide level, then I think we will always be entangled in fine-tuning existing target and stuff like this, but not going systemic. Thanks for your attention.